Well, hello, everyone. Thanks so much for logging on to CBSDenver.com. We are hanging out with Nuggets President of Basketball Operations, Tim Connelly. He was our guest tonight on Xfinity Monday Live. So you've got 20-plus games left in this season as you guys make a push for the playoffs. How crazy is it when you look at the playoff standings, just how close it is from 3 to 10 right now?
I think the key is not to overreact. It's going to be like the stock market the last 20 games. If you look at it every day, you're going to drive yourself nuts. If you win the games that are in front of you, they're going to have a pretty good chance to be one of the final 8. But it is insane looking at how bunched up, except for Houston and Golden State, the rest of us are. When
you look at this team and what you guys have been able to do, how impressive is it that you guys have been in this spot or are in this spot, and you've done it without Paul Millsap for the majority of the season?
I think it speaks to our depth. I think we got a roster full of guys that have been starters or heavy rotation guys. So when they're called upon, they produce. And I think Mo and his staff have done a fantastic job. It's not easy juggling different lineups, not easily dealing with a huge injury like Paul so early in the season. And it's not easy when our team is as young as it is. So I think the resiliency that our young guys have shown this year really speaks volumes about who they are and who they're going to be in the future.
One of those guys who has been really crucial in y'all's depth and has stepped up in a big-time way is Trey Lyles. And what have you seen from him and what he's been able to do here that he maybe wasn't able to do in his first 2 years in Utah?
Well, we always just closely follow guys we like throughout the draft process. So I thought Trey had an excellent rookie year. His sophomore year, or his second year, excuse me, was solid. It was up and down. They introduced a couple of veterans to the team, and Joe Johnson, Boris Diaw. He still played 19 minutes a night, but it wasn't the consistent 19 minutes a night he saw the previous year. So when we traded Trey, really challenged him to be more efficient. He's too gifted offensively to put the numbers he did in Utah his second year. I think he's really changed his body. He's a workaholic. The guy lives in the gym. We knew the skills were there. We knew the size and athleticism was there, but now he's putting all those three things together. He's also done a great job of kind of learning from the guys in front of him, Paul, Darrell, and Mason, those guys. So I think he's another young guy that we're extremely excited for, and I think he's firmly part of our future.
Has the one-and-done era made it harder for you to do your job?
We debate this all the time. Personally, I don't really understand it. I think in other sports, you're able to go pro from high school if you're good enough. If you look at some of the best players that our league's seen the last 30 years, they're guys that didn't spend a day in college. Certainly, it's especially a politically charged conversation right now, what's going on at NCAA level. But we definitely give, at times, a bit too much credit for those one-year guys that every day you spend in college, we tend to be more critical, so I feel for those guys. I think the challenging guys are the McDonald's All-American guys. You see just enough of, whether with USA Basketball or some of these postseason events or summer camps, and then they don't play up to their expected level at the college level. I think that's the guys you say, he was the 5th-ranked guy. We loved him last year at McDonald's. He played great in Hoop Summit. I think those guys are especially challenging if they don't produce big numbers year one in college.
Now, you touched on this earlier in the show, but for people who weren't watching, Paul Millsap upgraded today from out to questionable for tomorrow's game. What's the latest? What can you tell us?
I mean, it'll be up to Paul, certainly. We're going to always err on the side of caution, but I would bring the number 4 jerseys out tomorrow if you have them.
Get those tickets.
Absolutely.
Get those tickets.
A huge game, too. A huge game. I mean, Clippers have been fantastic. The talented group. We got to bounce back from last night's loss. So it's going to be a fun night tomorrow night.
Pepsi Center's been rocking. Should be really rocking tomorrow. Yeah, I think number 4's in the starting lineup.
I think tomorrow night, Coach, too, is added $10 to every ticket. So you have $10 value, a beer, popcorn, licorice, whatever your tastes are. You get $10 on top of your tickets. That's a pretty cool incentive to come out to see a game.
Michael Malone chipping in a little bit to give something back to the fans and his appreciation for what the Nuggets fans have brought to Pepsi Center night in on night out this season. Hey, Tim, thanks so much for the visit,
Thanks,
man.
It was awesome.
Really appreciated it. And thank you for logging on to CBSDenver.com.